That was incredible, Captain.
You saved our lives.
Sir Captain Daly. Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray!
For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow.
Hip hip hooray! One of the cheeriest openings to Black Mirror. Hey guys, Sean from the Binge Zone here. Today we're going to be breaking down Season 4 of Black Mirror, starting with the first episode, USS Callister, that starts off as a parody. But let's break down to it. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of all the episodes of Season 4 to figure out what are the deeper meanings behind every episode, what are the layer subcontext of the episodes. Anyway, let's jump right into USS Callister. USS Callister at first viewing comes off as a dark parody with no deep social commentary or very little social commentary. While this is the most popular and digestible episode of the season, it also is the most layered episode, tackling many different subject matters. The episode begins with a parody of the 1960s Star Trek, right down to the over-the-top zany performances, the ludicrous space outfits, and the defy all odds, dashing and daring captain who leads his crew through a triumphant victory. But it's all a stimulation. The Robert Daly we see as the daring captain is a stark contrast to the actual Robert Daly's real life, where he is a socially awkward person who has little to no respect in the world, despite being the creator of the Infinity game, which spawned into a big company where he is CTO of it all. Despite the title, his meek character holds no respect from his subordinates and business partner, even though he created this great universe and game from his vast fandom of Space Fleet. Daly finds reprieve by creating his own version of the game, which he has complete control over, and he has trapped digital clones of everyone in his workspace that has slighted him, flipping the dynamic we see in the opening moments of the show on its head. Things aren't as rosy and cheery as they seem. They are much darker and bleaker, as we see that Daly is not only holding these digital consciousness against their will, but he is also very malevolent and violent towards them. This is a direct comparison to the way a lot of gamers behave online in online game communities such as Grand Theft Auto, The Sims, and other games that give players free roam to pretty much do whatever they want. While in real life, a lot of gamers cannot express their frustrations, in the gaming world they are free to act out any way they desire, especially with the advancements of modern gaming, where most players' actions are only limited by their imaginations. Daly is repressed and shunned in real life, but in the game he is a god. He has control over everything and can act as he wishes without actually doing anything in the physical world or physically harming anyone. One could see it as a safe and effective way to release stress. A lot of gamers are guilty of using games as an escape from real life. Heck, I'm guilty of it as well. The only thing that makes us different than Daly is the fact that the characters we're actually going against in the games are non-sentient digital codes, as opposed to actual human consciousness that Daly has trapped in the game. Taking a step further from just stress relief to flat out torture, we see the dichotomy in Daly's life. In real life, he behaves nothing like the way he behaves in the game. But those are both two facets of who Daly is. While he cannot express one in the real world, he can express in the digital world. Just like if you're on online or any multiplayer game or Xbox Live or things of that nature, the things you hear over the internet and the things you hear over these gaming platforms aren't things that people would actually say to your face. There's some akin to internet trolls. The way that trolls behave online isn't really the way they behave in person. Now in the episode, when we are introduced to Net, the protagonist of the story, she is shown to be the only one who gives Daly respect in his real life, letting him know that she appreciates his coding skills and he's the reason she got into coding, bringing him coffee and other niceties that he isn't afforded, even though he is the reason everyone in his office space has a job. He is the creator of the Callister company. Daly goes as far as to even share his fanatic obsession with Space Fleet, the Star Trek-like show that he built his personal Infinity game after, giving us a glimpse of just how much of a fan Daly is of this franchise. Toxic fandom has seen a rise in the past few years in pop culture. Star Wars The Last Jedi recently suffered from this, and we have Rick and Morty fandom and various others, where select few fans have risen and distorted the original message that the show that they're fans of are about the initial ideas that the creator of said show or movie set out to achieve. They have warped the fandom into their own demented versions of what they believe it should be. Similar to how Daly talks about Space Fleet, the codes and the guidelines that they live by and the way that they go about operating. But Daly himself isn't acting according to the Space Fleet codes. He is torturing and holding people hostage. He is attacking unarmed individuals, distorting the very game he created and the very show he loves with his toxic fandom. And I mentioned The Last Jedi. As we can see, a lot of people loved The Last Jedi. It made a lot of money. A lot of people, what you call original fans of the trilogy, hate it. And because of that, there's been a campaign where fans have been actively downvoting the popularity of The Last Jedi. But not just The Last Jedi, we also see this in other fandoms such as DC Comics, how fans have their own warped reality of what the show or movie should be about. And if it's not about that and it doesn't go according to their plan, they're actively against it. And to the farther extremes of it all, we have Rick and Morty fans who we have grown men attacking and disturbing the peace at local McDonald's over Szechuan sauce and just pretty much going above and beyond what actual fans of a series or show do. And the fact that they take it a step further and push the limits of their fandom is similar to what Daly is doing. He is taken and distorted Space Fleet into his own plaything, and he's pretty much not living to the ideals that is set upon by the show, which encompasses this idea of toxic fandom, which is one of the various layers that this show tackles. Besides the layer of online gaming culture, we have toxic fandoms, which is permeated, like I said, throughout various fandoms. Nanette, however, despite being new to her job, faces sexual harassment from both of her bosses, starting with Walton, who starts to touch her on her lowering back, kisses her on both cheeks, and pretty much invades her personal space. Very inappropriate behavior from a CEO of a company. She's even warned by other coworkers of how Walton is around the office. And when Daly overhears she isn't interested in him in a romantic way, he steals her DNA and creates a digital clone of her consciousness to put in his game. If he couldn't have her in the real world, he would have her in his virtual one, where he forces the women of his crew to kiss him against their will. In real life, Nanette is forced to be nice and avoid built for superiors in order to keep her job. But in the digital world of the Infinity, her personality is vastly different. She isn't taking shit from Daly and refuses to play along with his game. As soon as her job isn't on the line and she doesn't have to play nice with him in the office, she gives Daly a piece of her mind. Despite the other characters urging her and despite Daly torturing her, the power dynamics are clearly against Nanette in both the real world and inside the game, symbolizing the marginalization of women in both the workforce as well as the gaming community. Because despite the gaming community seemingly open to all, as we can see from recent real-life event known as Gamergate, the power structures in the gaming community are very patriarchal, and harassment and marginalization of women in the gaming space is very real. Social power dynamics exist in this world and are real, but they can be fought against. It is the fact that Nanette is a coder like Daly that she is able to free them from his game and beat him at his own game. The fact that even though she's not on an open playing field as Daly and the power dynamics are clearly against her, she still fights through and let her skills shine above all else. Besides the fact that Daly doesn't believe he can be hacked, and even other characters in the game could not hack his simulation, Nanette, only being there a few days, has actually hacked Daly and actually outsmarted him in his own game. The episode ends on a happy note. They escape Daly's game and find themselves in the cloud inside the main Infinity game, free of Daly's control while his mind is trapped and then deleted inside of his own universe. Here they are free to explore the vast universe of the Infinity world and are free of Daly's toxic gaming subculture. Well, until they find out that this isn't just a trait that is unique to Daly, who is a douche in the gaming community. This begs the question, which I pass on to you guys. Was Daly wrong? Since he never physically harmed anyone, but was taking out his frustrations a lot on game codes that he created, is there a difference between the metaphysical torturing that they actually accrued and the killing of these characters on the metaphysical plane? Or is it just physical torture and death that actually matter? As long as their bodies and minds are okay, are they fine? Keep in mind that these characters attempted to commit suicide and live as Daly's playthings. This episode took a deep dive into the gaming subculture, toxic fandom, and male-dominated power structures that exist in society, as well as the over-the-top nostalgic fandoms of yesteryear, where we have series like Star Trek, who have seen a resurgence this year with 2 new shows from Star Trek Beyond and The Orville to different variations and reiterations of the movies themselves. It takes what we're portrayed in the media, similar to how Big Bang Theory has these lovable geeks that we all know and love, and it kind of flips that on their head. At first, we're kind of on Daly's side. We understand how he is shown the lack of respect in his office, and then the episode takes our expectations and completely subverts it and flips it on his head, putting Daly as actually a deplorable human being, despite the fact that he exhibits the various traits that we find lovable and amiable from certain geek characters in pop culture. We analyze the Captain Kirks of the world and the Sheldon Coopers, but beneath all that, there is a level of toxicity that exists within both these archetypes. From Captain Kirk's attitude, lax treatment of women, to Sheldon's attitude and lax treatment of women. Is this a commentary about masculinity and toxic masculinity? Or is this a commentary on a very sick individual. I'll leave that up to you guys anyway, guys. That's my deep dive into Black Mirror episode 1, USS Callister. If you like this video, definitely hit the thumbs up. Be on the lookout for the other episodes because I'm breaking down every episode of Black Mirror season 4. And until next time, guys, binge on.